Hey y'all, this is part 2 of our Grand Northern Conspiracy series. If you haven't watched the first one yet, click the eye on the top right corner now. Again, this video could contain major spoilers for the books and the show, so get comfy and prepare to have your mind blown. As we all know, Robb dies, but before he dies, he tries to start a plan to retake Moat Cailin, using Mage Mormont and Galbart Glover, who both disappear into the Neck. It is thought that they may have actually made it all the way to Howland Reed or are in contact with everyone. The Cranning men have already started to get rid of the Greyjoys trying to take over, so when Theon gets there, he finds all of his people either dead or dying. Also, when Alysanne Mormont and Asha, who is Yara in the show, are on the way to Winterfell, they have a chat. Alysanne knows that 2 of her sisters are with her mother. How does she know this unless they've already all been in communication? Later, Alysanne gets to Deepwood Mott and helps take it back over. Stannis is there, but she couldn't have known this. Stannis had been heading to all the different houses trying to gain some popularity while she was on her way, so neither had any knowledge of each other. In all likelihood, this was probably planned. The fact that Stannis is there just ends up being an unexpected added bonus. He actually helps get Deepwood Mott back faster and with less cost. Next, there's Robert Glover, who is Galbert's younger brother. He was captured in Duskendale, but later exchanged for Martin Lannister. Roose Bolton starts up some battles to get rid of everyone that opposes his new status. So just before Galbart heads by boat to the Neck, he finds out that Robert is also heading north, also by boat. Why wouldn't Robert head back to White Harbor, that just so happens to be the biggest port in the north? If Mage can send a raven to get in touch with her kids, why can't Galbart do the same? Later, Manderly and Glover try to give Davis the impression they really do not like bastards, so they send him off to Skagos to try to find Rickon and Shaggy Dog. It seems as though they may be trying to give him the impression that they never really thought of Jon as anything more than just a bastard, trying to throw him off the scent. By the end of A Dance with Dragons, Robert has kind of dropped off the face of the planet, so why was he so semi-important before and now suddenly not so much? The going theory is that even though he claimed to have trouble getting an army together, he is actually still around in the snowstorm and is now heading up the White Knife. Now, a few key places have suddenly decided they don't really want to go to war after all, namely Manderly. But, just like with Robert, this is also a ruse. Mage Mormont and Galbart Glover have decided to stay in the Riverlands to use the Neck as a sort of HQ to try to get whatever's left of Robb's army back together, but they end up getting stranded in Moat Cailin. If Lady Stoneheart really has gone to the Neck with the Brotherhood, it means that they could now be working with Reed, Mormont, and Glover. Remembering that Alysanne is used as a connection to Mage and all that has happened with Robb legitimizing Jon Snow, it now brings us to the Hill Clansmen, particularly the Littles, who know that Bran and Rickon are still alive. Bran and crew run into a Little while heading to the Wall. They ask him how much further to the Wall. Afterwards, the Littles help Stannis take over Deepwood Mott and head out to Winterfell with the Norreys, Wolves, and Flints. It makes sense that when Alysanne joins in, they all swap info. Now everyone knows of Bran and Rickon and of Jon. Afterwards, Jon has some Norreys and Flints at the Wall for Alyscar Stark's wedding. These particular Northmen were just too old to join in all the fighting. So could they really be there to get a feel for Jon? And why not? Jon's entire arrangement of Alice's wedding and his truce with the wildlings fly in the face of the King of the North's authority. Why wouldn't they want to see how it handles it all? And learning of all the details of Jon's plans with the wildlings, it seems as though Flint and Norrie are probably just pretty impressed. This actually bodes very well for Jon if Alysanne has told the clansmen of Robb's plans. So knowing all of this, why would Manderly send Davis to go find Rickon and Shaggy Dog if Rickon becoming Lord and King doesn't really matter? Rickon can't be a Lord before Bran. Manderly swears to acknowledge Stannis as King if Davis can deliver, but he's not speaking on behalf of all of White Harbor, only himself. It's thought that Manderly isn't planning on returning anywhere alive, which would leave his son as his heir, who has sworn no such oath. Since the worst winter is coming, most of the fighters have been killed and most of their food is gone. It doesn't make any sense to want a 3-year-old as Lord and King, so why not have him safe as Jon's heir? After Manderly's talk with Davos, he heads off to Winterfell for a wedding. He met up with some Freys, gave them guest-gifted horses, and proceeds to murder them. At the wedding, Manderly supplies the food and drink where he serves up his murdered Freys and pies. He's probably planned all this out way ahead of time. On the road to Winterfell, he meets up with Mance, who is heading to get fake Arya for Jon. So when Manderly brings bards but no singers to this wedding, the man that has thought of everything else for a wedding, a bard just so happens to show up. But this isn't the only prior arrangement he's made. Manderly also proposed to Bran, Rodrik, and Master Luwin to build a fleet of warships for Robb. Everyone's kind of leery about it, but Rodrik talks them into it. So by now the fleet has been built, and it appears that the Boltons have no idea whatsoever. But Manderly is still conspiring while he's in Winterfell. Sir Aenys Frey points out that Manderley has come with 300 men. He's most likely brought the people he trusts the most with him. He can use them to run messages and make nice with the wildlings and the Umbers. So at this wedding, the Serwins, Tallhearts, Manderleys, Locks, Umbers, Flints, Hornwoods, Stouts, Slates, and Riswells have all come, except for Lady Dustin. There is a Lock in Manderley's court, so they have all probably been in contact, or will be soon. The Locks have no real problem with Roose, but despise Ramsay. The Hornwoods also despise Ramsay since he murdered their lady. When Ramsay comes to take back Winterfell from Theon, Ramsay kills the men of the Serwins and the Tallhearts, including Serwin's heir Clay and Tallheart's brother Leopold. It also becomes widely figured out that Roose was with the Freys and the Lannisters at the Red Wedding. How else would he have survived? Why else would he now have a Frey wife? And why else would he have been appointed as Warden of the North? Roose has been in this since the beginning, and everyone knows it, and no one is too thrilled about it. Roose knows this. He knows that if a Stark son were to show up, all hell would break loose. Lady Dustin knows this too. Harwood Stout and Horsebane Umber are seen quietly talking to each other. Horsebane is likely relaying info to Stout from Manderley, and since Stout is sworn to Lady Dustin, he will report back to her. House Bolton probably won't be a house for long. If no one else, it seems as though Manderley will make sure of that. But there are others to make sure of this, including Lady Dustin. Thanks for coming back to watch this video. Expect part 3 soon. If you haven't seen part 1, you can click this link right here. Don't forget, the North remembers, and they are not forgiving.